Kim, it'd be great to understand your perspective on the question I asked Kate earlier on about psychological safety in staff to enable them to kind of navigate that very complex change. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Thank you. So it's really important, being the chief nursing officer and the exec responsible for maternity services, that actually what is psychological safety. I've been at RCHT now 8 years. I was 5 weeks in post when we plunged into our inadequate. And I think it sounds very trite, doesn't it? Build trust. What does trust mean? Um, it isn't just being visible, it's how you're accessible, aren't you? It's really hard to be accessible from Land's End to the top of the Tamar, but it's how do people reach out when they need you is really important. And it's about being available, and being available in a busy, dynamic environment can be hard. So once you say you're available, it's making sure that you're truly listening when people do contact you. And how do you know that things are changing? When I first used to walk the wards, and I think a CQC rating affects staff in many different ways. We went from a maternity service who actually said they were going for gold and plunged into inadequate. The changes in leadership and being, as Kate says, being kind isn't being soft, but it's making sure that you don't further um, revalidate that people feel you're in a blame culture, and going and joining meetings of the disadvantaged, of those that have felt they've spoken for years and never been listened to and have their own trauma to deal with. And I absolutely agree, without co-producing with, we've got Kerno Maternity and Neonatal Voices Partnership. They're really key in telling us what it's like, what our communities say. So co-production has got to be the key and the foundation, but multi-professional. You cannot just talk to midwives. You have to talk to the teams as groups and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Our Maternity and Neonatal Voices Partnership, they come to the Maternity Governance Board. That's really important. But that was a huge cultural change of, some of our very strong clinicians were saying that's not a place for people to be. Absolutely it is. And for us, and I'm sure I'm not alone, we serve our communities, we live in our communities. You only have to sit on a bus ride like I do. I get the facts of what people are saying, and if we can't face that, they're really hard mirror moments. But if you're saying it's okay to speak out, how do you role model that? How do you make sure you've got time to have that difficult conversation? How do you call people in? Don't call them out. It's really easy. If you call people out, you reinforce that this is a blame culture. If you call people in and have that courageous conversation, sometimes when I'm at the table, I might think, well, why is no one else tackling this poor behaviour? But if I'm sitting there and I'm allowing it to happen, then I become complicit in that. So it's about saying, right, you might feel like that, but why? And we're 8 years in. I'm very, very passionate. That key relationship between the head of midwifery, CNO, and board is absolutely invaluable. And at RCHT, for many good reasons, we are on our fourth head of midwifery. Two others have gone on to have promotions elsewhere, and it's great to share that culture, but you have to keep succession planning. You have to realize that even after 8 years, one change in the management system can bring all of those old fears out. So it's making sure you stand shoulder to shoulder. I always say, use me as an unblocker. I'm a board unblocker. I will sit there with you. I will listen to you, but it has to come from them, and they have to be able to believe in it as a team. And I believe mine and the board's role, as Kate says, is how do we unblock those things that they can't get right and keep going at what is the difference between a formal boardwalk and what's that when things go wrong. The head of midwifery will contact me straight away. My first question is, how is the family? How is the team? What support do you need? Then we go into let's set up the round table and look at what went what didn't go well, what went well, and what have we learned from that, and what are we going to change? So that's a lot built in, but it's still a journey that I'm sure I'm not the only one supporting.
No, thank you, Kim. I mean, again, I'm just trying to draw parallels between Andy's story around improvement and Kate and yourself and your organization. And what comes clearly from those stories is the importance of conversations, the importance of enablement, the importance of listening, the importance of taking action and looking for truth as well. And I think that's brilliant. I would like to kind of build upon that because one of the common themes also came out from the two stories was the use of data, use of data and how we analyze data to support and drive certain decisions to improve care.